Africa's unemployment rate has risen to 32.6% in the first quarter of 2021. For a reaction on the just released unemployment numbers, I'm joined now by Ms. Lebo Nke, Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator Executive for Advocacy. A very good afternoon to you, ma'am, and thank you so much for your time today. Your reaction on the numbers that have just been released, certainly not good news for the country, but also specifically not good news for the youth.
Well, definitely not good news for the youth. Thank you so much for this time and for just allowing me to share some of my reflections. I mean, I think that what we're definitely seeing is that youth aged between 15 and 24 years and those between 25 and 34 years have recorded the highest unemployment rate, of 63.3% and 41.3% respectively. So, of all, the largest number of unemployed groups are young people, and we continue to see this as a very wicked problem that we need to solve. So approximately 3.3 million out of 10.2 million young people were not in employment, in education or training. And so the overall NEET rate has increased by 1.7 percentage points.
And so how are you helping young people deal with unemployment? Because as you're saying, it affects, so many of them, millions.
Absolutely. I mean, this year, Harambee celebrated its 10th birthday. And even though it's been an impactful decade, we've seen 1.5 youth who've been brought into a network, and we've enabled about 500,000 pathways into work opportunities. We know that this is a drop in the ocean. And I think that as we think about how we move forward, we have to actually deal with this issue at a very systemic level, which is what we've been saying for a while. But I think we are now at a point where we are getting everybody around the table. So the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative that was launched last year, I think signals a little of a light for young people. And I think, the focus going forward should be to try and address the underlying structures and those supporting mechanisms which make the system operate the way it does. Because unless we attempt to deal with this at its cause, at its root cause, we're only softening and just toning down the results of a very malfunctioning system. So as far as Harambee focus goes, we've concentrated on 4 parts of the system that we believe can just really be a game changer at a population level. And we know that we have to focus most of our efforts on the demand side and create jobs. And these may be in the formal economy and the informal economy, but we have to make sure that we are creating those opportunities. And I think it goes beyond just creating the opportunities. We've also got to make sure that young people can access those opportunities and that they've got visibility of those opportunities. And really that is the work that Harambee is doing, and working with others, many others like government, other youth organizations and industry bodies, because really this is I think, a problem that we all have to come around the table together to solve. And I think it just requires a very systemic way of thinking about solving it.
You talk, Ms. Nke, about a systemic way of solving the unemployment problem, specifically in the youth. And one would say that it's two-pronged. The objectives are two-pronged. One is to give the youth jobs now, that they're able to live and support themselves now, able to use that money to finance their studies or whatever else they may be doing, but also to capacitate them to be able to create longevity in their working careers, jobs that are sustainable. How are those programs being implemented, if any, to ensure that those two needs are being met?
Well, everyone always talks about what the young people do not have. They're not in employment, in education or training. And yes, that is true. Skills are something to focus on. But I think at the root of the problem really is the fact that we do not have enough jobs and we do not have enough opportunities. And so a lot of our effort is going into sector body discussions and plans, sector plans that can help actually generate these opportunities. We've been focusing on the business process outsourcing sector, and I think that has taken root, and we are starting to see some opportunities there. But and we know that we can get young people into those opportunities without them having to go to varsity for 3 years and 4 years. That we can think about short, sharp interventions that can really bridge the gap and get them into those opportunities. I think that the digital jobs that are available and the digital economy is really a space that we've got to concentrate on. South Africa approximately has about 66,000 digital jobs. 60% are really suitable for first-time entry-level workers who do not have prior experience. And I think the skills shortage not only affects like local companies in their fight for digital talent, but because a lot of this is because South Africa ends up outsourcing the digital work and expertise to other countries, which translates into an estimated lost export revenue for South Africa of about like 8.5 billion rand a year. So, and this information comes from Harambee's 2020 Digital Jobs Mapping Survey. So we are launching, we have actually in this space launched DigiLink, which is an entity based in Cape Town to bring young people into the tech economy and ensure that we can equip them for the long term. And this is something that's being driven at an industry level coalition, and it's focused on really like a mutual interest of all players to increase total investments and translate into concrete jobs that can be filled with these skilled workers.
Oftentimes, Ms. Nke, we look at the traditional sectors to be the providers of jobs. We look at construction, we look at finance, we look at trade, etc. But you mentioned there, quite interestingly, the digital economy, and you mentioned the tech economy. Xolani Mbanjwe and I were just talking about the gig economy right now. Do you believe that perhaps there are opportunities to create new sectors, or at least to bolster up emerging sectors that the youth are not only interested in, but which sectors are perhaps eventually going to end up being the major job creators?
I do believe that the digital economy is where we will see a lot of growth, and especially because those jobs do exist. It's just that they are being outsourced and being done in other countries. And so this is a really key area that we've got to focus on. I think where a lot of young people are employed currently is obviously in the retail and hospitality industry. And we see that even, with COVID, that's why they've been so hard hit, and especially young women. And so I think when we think about, because the digital jobs run across many, many sectors, it is a way of doing things rather than a sector on its own. And so we do believe that there is a lot of opportunity in this space, and that we do have to double down in this space.
And which of the existing sectors, are you finding young people gravitating most towards?
Well, at this point, retail and hospitality, I would say, catches most young people because it's those are sectors that don't really require a lot of experience and are suitable for first-time and entry-level workers. And so this is the space that hires a lot of young people and that young people are attracted to. But we do have to expand this and think about more and more spaces. But just on that, I do want to say that even though we can focus on the formal economy, the truth is that there are millions and millions of young people, and I don't think that we'll be able to absorb all of them in the formal economy. And that's why it's important to also think about the informal economy, particularly thinking about micro enterprises and even like government stipended jobs and government stipended programs. So we do need to get young people to hustle a little bit more effectively, even if it's just to earn for extra cash while they're looking for work. We need to also ensure that, enterprise development programs that are out there and the support that exists out there is a little bit more inclusive. We also know that, millions are already budgeted for stipended work. And we need to ensure that this goes into the pockets of young people and that these programs also give young people real skills to improve their employability.
Let's talk about accessibility to these stipend programs. I think they're very important, and I think they really do plug a huge hole. But how accessible are they to young people?
Well, I think that is the issue, is that there isn't visibility. And I think, and to this end, Harambee is also looking at a fourth system. I've spoken about the formal economy and the informal economy and these stipend programs, but we're also looking at a pathway management system that can ensure that there is actually visibility to these opportunities. Later this month, we will be, the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative will be launching SA Youth, which is a platform that will ensure, and it's a multi-channel platform that will ensure that young people can access opportunities. This is a free platform. We know that, data costs, transport costs, all those are barriers for young people to be able to get jobs. And so we need to ensure that the systems that are out there, make it possible for them to actually access these opportunities. We know that even just like qualifications are also like a big barrier. And so on sayouth.mobi, young people will be able to come on there, be able to see opportunities that are out there. And we're working with a whole lot of different people trying to ensure that there is just one place that opportunities are hosted. I think currently young people have to navigate so many spaces and the systems are broken and they don't talk to each other. And so we need a space that is just like one, that we need to organize actually ourselves around the young people rather than young people having to figure out how to navigate the system. And so this pathway management system, is really, really key in terms of ensuring that there is access and that there's visibility and that it is a fair process and that many young people can access this without having to know somebody, whoever holds those opportunities, especially as this is something that we see in those stipended work programs.
Really good talking to you, Ms. Nke. That's Lebo Nke, Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator Executive for Advocacy. And that website that she's talking about, sayouth.mobi, is really a portal and a meeting place for young people and opportunities. I guess that's your networking tool there. When you're part of that website, I guess then you do know people because you are being connected to those people. But thank you very much for your time.